Okay, good evening and welcome to my kitchen for One Team Active's third cook along session. So we're going to spend hopefully a maximum of 30 minutes just rustling up some delicious teriyaki salmon with some stir-fried vegetables and also an energy smoothie. So we're going to get cracking straight away. Hopefully you can see what's going on down here. So first of all, I'm just going to turn my oven on to 180 degrees, and that can just heat up for the salmon, to bake the salmon whilst we are chopping and stir frying our vegetables and making the teriyaki sauce, and then we'll just whiz up the smoothie right at the end. Forgive me if I'm hobbling a little bit. I'm a little bit out of action. I fell over running last week, so safety warning for anyone who's taking up running. It's absolutely worth it, but it can be a little bit risky when it involves brambles and roots. So yes, I have a very, very swollen ankle, so forgive me if I'm hopping around a tiny bit. But in the meantime, so I'm going to bake this salmon, even though you can pan fry it. Actually, if you wanted to, this could be a one pot wonder. If you've got a big enough wok, you could just fry off the salmon, or if you want to use chicken for this, or if you want to use like some king prawns, or if you want to just use it as vegetables or some tofu, you could just chuck the main protein source in with the veggies. But I just love baked salmon. I just think it is so delicious. And the kind of the secret is just baking it just enough so it is just cooked, and then the whole thing just falls apart and tastes so wonderful. It just melts. So that's what we're aiming for tonight. So I'm going to get it wrapped up and onto the baking sheet, but not pop it in yet because it doesn't take very long at all. And the worst and most disappointing thing is having salmon that has overcooked and dried out, and then it's mega chewy and a shame. So I'm going to use just some baking paper to line a baking tray. And I've got 3 fillets of salmon tonight because I'm feeding 3. So I'm just extending the ingredient portion sizes just a little to feed 3 mouths. Okay, so I've got a piece of baking paper. I'm going to make sure that the waxy side is down so nothing sticks to the baking tray. I'm going to place my salmon pieces onto the baking tray, just allowing a little bit of gap between them so you can get the heat going right through, so they cook a lot quicker. Good. Little hobble. Okay. Right, and then this can have a little marinade whilst we're getting the veggies ready. So we're going to put 2 tablespoons of the soy sauce. And the recipe says dark soy sauce, but actually, if you've got light soy sauce, completely fine as well. So we're going to just coat the salmon in 2 tablespoons of the soy sauce. Okay, give it a rinse. Then a tablespoon of honey. I'm going to drizzle this over my salmon as well. Can you see the salmon? You can see when in it. Then I'm just going to coat that over, and that will all just melt and blend in together and be absolutely gorgeous. And then I'm going to fold this salmon into like a little parcel so that it steams it. And then just for the last minute, I'm going to open it up and just expose it to the heat so that it doesn't dry out, but it just gives it a little bit of a crispy topping, not too much. So I don't want to dry anything out at all. So I'm just going to fold this into a parcel like that, and that's just sit there and just marinate for a minute whilst we get the veggies prepared. Okay, so over here we're going to start off with we're going to chop up the pepper, and as I said in the description for this, the ingredients, it's really versatile with whatever seasonal veg or whatever your preferences are for vegetables, whatever you've got in the freezer if you're getting a bit short of fresh veggies. So I've got peppers, mange, tout, garlic, and I put water chestnuts on there because A couple of my kids love a water chestnut, but the child that's eating tonight doesn't like a water chestnut, so I've got some bean sprouts instead. I'm just going to chuck some bean sprouts in, and these are super nutritious. These are really got really great health properties in some bean sprouts, so I'm going to chuck those in instead of water chestnuts tonight. Then you can also just put in like a handful of frozen edamame beans. They're really great to go in as well, quite nice and authentic too. Some chopped carrots, a bit of spring onion, some frozen peas, whatever your preference really. You can just make it that little bit different each week so people don't think they're having the same meal week in, week out. You know, and if you're really short for time, you can buy a bag of stir-fried vegetables, fresh or frozen, saving all the chopping as well. If you're really trying to get something as you're dashing in and out and people are coming in and out at different times, then again, just go for whatever is easiest. But the key is just getting as many different plant foods into these main meals as possible. But variety week on week is definitely the key. Our gut bugs, they love some variety and they feed off our vegetable intake. So our beneficial gut bugs, they really, really like a diverse selection of vegetables and fruit and plant foods every week, rather than just the kind of same old peas and carrots week after week. Right, so that's the garlic chop and the peppers. Just going to put the whole pepper in. Any left over for tomorrow, that's cool. So that's so I've done a whole yellow pepper there. You can do half a red, half a yellow if you want to. You can put in some green pepper. Just the more colourful, the better. And then we're going to just gently stir fry this. Going to get that going, and then whilst that's going, I'm going to put the salmon in a minute. Might just start off our teriyaki sauce. So you can just buy a jar of teriyaki sauce, no problem with that at all. That's absolutely fine. But again, if you have got a little bit of time, you could make quite a nice large batch of it and store some in the fridge in a jar. Just taste that a little bit punchier and a little bit fresher. And you know, if you've got fresh lime, fresh ginger, then they will, you will taste the difference a little bit. So again, I'm cheating a little bit. I love this cooked ginger, chopped ginger. So I love using fresh ginger, but it just always goes off and mouldy in the bottom of my fridge before I've used the whole bit. And I am cheating tonight. I've got lemon juice. I didn't manage to get any fresh lemons today. But the one thing that I do really swear by, which is the little pièce de résistance at the end. I think this makes a massive difference. This is fresh coriander. And I just think that this is the one thing that I wouldn't necessarily skimp on given the choice. Right? I wouldn't go just for powder. I'd probably go for both. But I just think adding this at the end with the lime and the ginger just makes it taste so punchy and lovely and fresh and zingy. Right, so I'm going to start to just stir fry these vegetables a little bit. Okay, my garlic is chopped ready for the teriyaki sauce. So we're going to do a little bit of multitasking in a sec. A bit sticky, if you like. These for this. Measuring out my sauce. And so also tonight I've put this down to have with noodles. Again, there's all like different types of noodles. If there's any kind of gluten intolerance in the family, you can just get rice noodles. You can get noodles that are you just got to add to the wok and they're already pre-cooked. Or you can obviously get ones that you do in a separate pan and just have to add some boiling water to. Equally, you could do this with some rice. Or you don't necessarily have to have that carbohydrate element to it. But if you're feeding lots of hungry mouths, then yeah, noodles or rice is both an option. Okay, so we're going to just cook off the peppers and my mange tout in there. I'll add the bean sprouts in a minute because they don't need that very long at all. Right, while that's on, I'm just going to start the teriyaki sauce off, and then I'm going to get the salmon in the oven. So the teriyaki sauce is 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. Put that in the pan. So you can do this all in the same big wok if you want to. Once the vegetables have started to stir fry, you could just add all of the ingredients for the sauce into the pan together, and then just thicken it at the end. But this just makes it like a little bit easier to navigate it. Okay, so we've got the sauce in there, and then we're going to put in some lime juice. So the juice of 1 lime, maybe I'm going 2 tablespoons from a bottle of juice of the whole lime. Okay, and then 1 chopped small chili. And just get my chili flakes. There are my chili flakes. Let's go. Okay, so I've got some chili, some chili flakes because I haven't got a fresh chili to hand. Been a bit restricted with my food shopping over the weekend with my inability to walk around the supermarket, so we're just adapting a little bit. Cool, fine. So I'm going to go for 1/2 teaspoon of chili flakes. So again, just gauge that as to whether you like spice, whether you don't like spice. This is a bit of an optional extra. Okay, so then we're going in with the teriyaki sauce. We're going in with 2 tablespoons of honey or maple syrup. And I haven't got the heat on the sauce just yet. I'm just going to get it all mixed in first. Then we're going to put in the chopped garlic. And 1-inch chunk of ginger. I think that's about a good tablespoon of ginger. Go in there. Okay, so that's my jar of ginger. The sauce. Okay, and then we have got right. I'm going to put the heat on now to just mix that all in together. We'll give that a bit of a cook off together. Okay, I'm now going to put my salmon into the oven. And so it took about 7 minutes. That would be 2 slightly smaller fillets. I've got 3 really quite generous sized fillets here. So I'm thinking this is going to be probably a good 10 minutes. So I'll take it out for 10 minutes and then I'll open it up and just see if the top might need a little bit extra. But that's going in 10 minutes. I'm going to add my bean sprouts and my stir fry. I'm going to be quite generous with that because the bean sprouts, once they're opened, they don't last very long. Within a day or two, that'll be starting to go very watery and it absolutely stinks in the fridge when they've gone off. So I'm going to use most of those because otherwise they're going to go to waste. So this is something that you could make up before and take into work. You know, just reheat it really, really quickly in the microwave. It wouldn't need much at all. And then if you wanted to add your noodles or a portion of rice that are already cooked to it, then you should just keep them sealed. If you've got the facilities, if you've got a microwave at work and a fridge, then it heats up super quickly. For a nice healthy takeaway style dinner. So yeah, if you're using water chestnuts, then you can just chuck those in with the other vegetables. Well, they just need heating. They're already cooked, so. Going to give that teriyaki sauce a little taste to make sure we've got all the flavours right in there. Good. So a lot of, excuse me, the chilli from the chilli into my throat. Going to pop that at the back a minute. Turn that off the sec. They're almost done. Yes, so one of the ingredients in a traditional teriyaki sauce is something called mirin, which is a bit like a rice wine. But I wouldn't necessarily think it's essential to go and buy a jar of mirin that you may not then use for a while. So yes, so I don't think that mirin is necessarily an essential ingredient if we're trying to just replicate a teriyaki sauce here in the UK. I think that we would be forgiven for just using sort of lime juice, the flavours. You can also use some sesame oil, which does again makes it taste quite authentic. It's very strong flavour. May make it taste a bit more like you might recognise it if you have teriyaki sauce if you're out and about in a restaurant. But again, it's quite a pricey ingredient to have sitting in the cupboard if you're just going to use it now and again, the same as with the mirin, really. So those are optional extras. Okay, so that's getting really lovely and hot. So now I have got a bit. So in here, I've just mixed up some corn flour with 100 millilitres of water. We're just going to dilute that a little bit, give that a really good stir so it's not going to go lumpy. This is just going to be to thicken the sauce. Okay, thicken that a little bit. keep stirring it, that will go lumpy. That time left on the salmon, but 4 minutes left on the salmon. Well, that's just thickening a little bit. I'm going to take my outfit off. So I check that. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, the smell that's coming from that is absolutely amazing. It smells so good. Yeah, that's some thickener. So it doesn't go lumpy. And then, so if you were just doing this just with vegetables, you could add some extra portions of protein to that, because the protein content will be quite low if you're just using veggies. So you could stir fry in there some cashew nuts or some unsalted raw peanuts to get in there. You could sprinkle on the top, you could sprinkle some sesame seeds or some flax seeds to give it a little crunch as well. So yeah, good way of getting in the sort of protein if you're having a vegetarian option, just plant-based option. And those plant-based proteins will be quite gentle on the gut if you're having them as a night shift option as well, to still give you a nice source of protein to help keep you fuller for longer than just your sort of simple carbohydrates, but still quite gentle for digestion rather than sort of going meat on a night shift. The gut can digest the plant foods a lot more easily. Okay, so that's just gone really lovely and thick. That's good to pour over our stir-fried vegetables here. Okay. Just give that a nice stir. Okay, so that's just ready now for the salmon to come out. Place on the top, so you can keep it as a whole fillet. Place that on the top, and then I'll put some lovely fresh coriander on the top of that as well. It doesn't need to cook off. The fresh coriander still stays lovely and vibrant flavour. Just adding it straight from the packet. So I'll chop that in a moment. Okay, so we're good to start our smoothie. I think I'll check yeah, we've got just over a minute left on the salmon. So in the meantime, we can start off with our smoothie. So I have invested in a NutriBullet because I do use this most days. And it's got the 2 different size smoothie cups. So a big one if I'm making it for 2 or 3 of us, and a little one if I want to just make one, and then I've got a lid that I can put on there to take with me if I'm out and about, or keep it in the fridge. And I will very often mix up a smoothie and use this on my milk, on my homemade granola in the morning for breakfast, because I feel a bit too full having it separate. But if I have it instead of my milk and it's got milk in it anyway, so it's just lovely flavored, fruity, delicious milk to pour onto my granola, and that keeps me so full until lunchtime. I don't even think about mid-morning snacking anymore at all. So yeah, so it is a good investment because I do use it a lot. But if it's a bit of, if you're not too sure, then maybe try a slightly cheaper version of the bullet, because they aren't cheap. But the key with smoothies is that we're always going to add a source of protein into them, because if we're just going to fill that with vegetables, sorry, I beg your pardon, with fruit, we are going to get a really big sugar spike quite quickly, because we've liquidized everything. And even though you've got the whole fruit in there, it's not just juicing. Even though you have got the whole fruit, you're going to be drinking it so quickly that it's going to really hit your blood sugar hard. So we'll add some protein in there, and it will just slow down the sort of release of into our blood sugar of that energy, and make it a really nice, nutritious meal, kind of, really. Right, let's have a look at this salmon. So really carefully. Now be careful, because it's really, a lot of steam could suddenly come out of this pasta when we open it. So open it really, really carefully. That steam out. Very good. Definitely cooked around the edges. I'm just going to open the parcel out a little bit. If you want to, you could just tip up some of the sauce a little bit and pour that over the top. And that'll go lovely and sticky when we pop it back in, and pop it in open now, just to finish it off. So I've got some of that lovely soy sauce and honey glaze just going over the top. And that'll be done in another 2 or 3 minutes. Just going to make sure I tuck this paper down so that it doesn't catch fire in the oven. The only thing with using this rather than foil, make sure it's not sticking us at all, because it will start to burn a little bit. So just keep an eye on it. Equally, I want to still keep it in a bit of a parcel so that the juice will stay around there. So I'm going to put that on for another 3 minutes, because those are quite chunky ones. But have a look at how yours is doing. And basically, if you put a knife or a fork in the top and you put it peels apart, it just flakes apart really easily, and it's gone much kind of lighter pink, then you're good. You're good to go. If it's still quite dark and it's still very fleshy, then just needs that little bit extra. But we really, really don't want to overdo it. We want to catch it just in time. It's just cooked. And that's when it's just going to be so lovely and tender. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. I don't want to keep people over time, so maybe I will simulate the smoothie, because this is super easy and so versatile. I've got my oats here, so we'll be putting 2 tablespoons of oats in there, and this is a really good source of protein, particularly because these are whole oats, so they've not had the outside bran like cutaway and so on. So these are really great, good source of protein and fiber as well. And then you would go in then with 1 cup of your milk of choice. So whether that is just regular cow's milk, whether you want to go oat milk, coconut milk, almond milk, whatever you fancy in there as well. And then some more protein here with the peanut butter. Tablespoon of this goes in. And this is going to really help with the regulation of that blood sugar spiking. So that's going to really help, because it's in here we've got protein and healthy fats as well. And so if you saw on my webinar where we talked about the release of energy and how with fats and protein the release is so much longer, sort of over 4, 5, 6 hours of still feeling quite full. So the impact on appetite is so different than just those simple carbohydrates. So your white bread, your white pasta, your white rice, and anything with kind of actual sugar in it as well, that's going to give you that sugar spike. Okay, and so then we would put in half a banana. You can then keep the other half in the freezer, and then you can use this another, and then you can just use the other half another day easily, rather than wasting it. So that will just keep in the freezer really easily. Keep your smoothie lovely and cold when you add that. Just you might be mindful, if you're going to add banana to the smoothie, you want to eat it fairly quickly, because it will turn the smoothie quite brown otherwise. So that might be something that you want to add at a later date, if at all. And then in my top freezer there, I've got some bags of frozen raspberries, some bags of frozen blueberries, a really nice cheap way to have berries when they're out of season. So we'll add all those in. A teaspoon of cinnamon or nutmeg, that can really help with regulating blood sugar. Again, that's optional if you're not overly keen on the cinnamony flavour, but that's optional in there. And then I've got my flax seeds, flax or linseeds, which again are a really great nutrient dense little food. So these will grind down. You can soak these in advance if you want to, or you can just put them straight in. Great source of protein and fiber, and they will, and healthy fats. So they packs all 3 punches, and again brilliant for the gut and also for sort of hormonal support too. Right, that should be our salmon. That looks pretty gorgeous. So, okay, so I'm going to turn that off now. Okay, so yes, so that's the linseeds. You beaking? That's okay. So yes, I do use seeds a lot in smoothies. Again, it sort of packs it out and it really helps with controlling blood sugar. I know they can be quite expensive for a bag like this. I will often go to Aldi or Lidl, and they have some great big kind of more open bags of seeds and nuts that you can just do scoops of, and actually that can be a bit more of an economical way of getting seeds, but that has become quite a staple here in my kitchen. And then if you want to make your smoothie chocolatey, by all means just add a tablespoon of cocoa in there. So if you've got people that like sort of chocolate milk and that kind of thing, then just adding in a tablespoon of cocoa can make it lovely and chocolatey, and make it taste quite rich and delicious. Okay, so then I was just going to blend this up on the bullet for 20 or 30 seconds. If I put seeds in, I'll give it a little bit longer, so otherwise it can taste a little bit gritty. But just blend that all up, and that will keep in my fridge for a couple of days, certainly without the banana. Or I'll use the small one, maybe take that into work, or pour that on my homemade granola. Recipe for that is on the Oscar Kilo website if you want to give that a go. So finally, just to compile all this together, I'm going to add my add to wok noodles. I'm going to just stir all of those in together because they don't need pre-cooking, the noodles that I've bought. I'll then plate that up with a salmon fillet on the top for each person. I'll then garnish it with some chopped coriander on the top. It's going to have lots of lovely, fresh, zingy flavours for tonight's dinner. So sorry to rush there at the end a little bit, but I hope that has been interesting and helpful. Let us know if you're trying this for the first time. Let me know how it turns out, particularly a teriyaki sauce. And yeah, certainly make a double batch of that. If you keep it in a separate pan, let it cool in a jam jar, and then you've got a spare set of teriyaki sauce. If you want to try it with something slightly different next week, maybe you could even freeze it if you need to, and label it up. And so then that's all done. All that effort is done, ready for another time when you're super busy. So yeah, enjoy, and let us know how it goes. Thanks for joining us, Catherine. Any questions before we go, Catherine? Her smells delicious. Fantastic.
No, I said yeah. It smells delicious, and now I'm about to taste it, and I'll see how I go. Slight variations on your recipe, but that's what I had in the fridge basically. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to tasting it because it smells yummy.
Perfect. I know. I wish we could. I wish we could sort of transfer the smell to our audience to enjoy as well.
Yeah,
right,
brilliant.
Bon appetit,
okay.
Catherine. Thanks so much.
Andrew, thanks, Anna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
See you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.